Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Bourbon Basement. I'm Ryan,
And I'm Steve.
and as you can see, we're not in our normal setup, and there is a very good reason for that. And in case you all haven't guessed it, we are unprepared. So that's kind of another thing. Like, if you think of the Bourbon Basement, you think of lack of preparation and technical difficulties.
I think technical difficulties first.
Well, okay, so technical difficulties and lack of preparation. So we do have a very good excuse. Over the past couple weeks, it's been very busy as far as the Bourbon Basement crew and cast is concerned with work. I wasn't even on the last stream, so missed y'all last week. I don't know if you all saw some of my chats that I was doing in the live chat last time under my alias name. Uh, a lot of y'all probably didn't recognize it, but I was in the chat, so I got to experience a little bit of the stream. But now this week, you want to explain what's going on with you this week?
So I'm on call, and as on call to different jobs and stuff is different for everybody. But I'm a utility lineman, an electric lineman. So my on call week is just once every 2 months. But every call after hours that comes in, I got to go on. So
And it's been a doozy for him this week.
well, and we've been doing this show a lot longer than 2 months. So you may be wondering, hey, well, he's never been on call before. What's different about this episode? The difference is I work with a good group of guys that understand my passion for this show, and they've always covered my Friday nights for me to be so I can do this show, drink and enjoy some bourbon, and I think that's great of them. So this is the no fault of them, but this week no one was available to cover.
No one's available to cover, so Dad doesn't get to drink tonight, unfortunately.
No drinking for me. I got my Coca-Cola. Uh, and I may get a call and I may have to leave. Somebody's lights may be out and I may have
Got
to
to go
go get
take
them
care
back
of it.
on. So,
It has been raining here in Bourbon County here in Kentucky and pretty good, so hopefully all that hangs out for a little bit the rest of the night because I think he's gotten his fair share of work so far this
well,
week.
it's been a busy week. That's what leads to the unpreparedness. It's been a busy day. I got in about 30 minutes before the show, and you can't see probably from the waist down, but still in work boots and dirty jeans. I did manage to change my shirt, but I don't think I combed my hair. How's it look? Hard hat head, guys. The hard hat head.
If you see the top of it, you probably see all the netting and stuff that goes into it. So,
Anyway,
so we do
so
apologize for the lack of preparation. So tonight's just going to be kind of a wing it kind of thing. And we don't really have any kind of outline or plan.
I do have one thing. So I did a show. It was not a live show. It was just a show, and it was
An episode.
an episode. It was a blind tasting. Our producer poured it for me. I tasted it. It was actually right what I was going to do for our bourbon group there on our next blind tasting. But I second thought it, and it was kind of
Second
a
thought it?
second thought it. I second guessed it. Okay, second guessed it. Uh, hey, I'm old.
It's been a long
I'm
week,
old,
guys.
tired. It's been a long week. I never talk right anyway. Uh, but I did that tasting for myself. I'm glad I didn't give it to you all because I called it, the episode's called Where's Pappy, right? And wasn't trying to find Pappy. I was kind of trying to hope I found something better than it.
If you haven't watched that video, I suggest that you go after this stream, watch the stream through,
How
go
many
watch that,
people's watched it?
go watch
Not
that
many.
episode. I think we've only got like 4 or 5 views on it. Where y'all at?
Anyway, that maybe they're just sticking to our lives once a week, and that's fine. But
On, I
we do
can't
put out
say
other
I
videos.
can't say I blame you because having to deal with us for 45 minutes to an hour once a week could be a lot. I can understand that could be a doozy.
But in that episode, the closest thing to the Van Winkle 12 year that we had was the old Emer. And it was a $40 bottle of bourbon. All right. So my goal was to find out if the Van Winkle 12 was unavailable or just unaffordable, which it is now.
It is unaffordable.
You can't afford it. Uh, Instead of buying that, could I find something else that I enjoyed just as much? Now, spoiler alert, I won't tell you who won, but I will tell you that the old Emer was very good. And I even said in the episode I could buy that $40 bottle and pretend that it's Van Winkle 12. And so you're going to test that because I gave it a rating. My score was, I'm not going to tell you, I'll tell you later. So you're going to have to give it a rating and we'll go from there. Some of the other things that I've been kind of throwing about in my head for the last 30 minutes, because that's all that I've had to repair,
He hasn't been thinking
prepare.
about it long.
No, it's been, uh, so since I can't taste, thought maybe I'd give some tips and tricks that I've heard about getting a good nose for bourbon.
Oh, I get a good nose.
Well, then getting a good nose for bourbon. And the other one, I'm gonna, of course, you're gonna do some tasting, but I thought maybe the palate thing. Dang it, I forgot my material. I'm gonna have to get up, guys. So, uh,
Let's just hope that nothing gets knocked off while we do this.
yeah,
'Cause
because this is a makeshift shut
it was
setup.
set up within the last
I
30
didn't
minutes.
want to be behind the bar because I thought maybe that it's just the tasting sheet and something like that that I want to talk about. Uh, how I kind of developed my palate a little bit more. Let me go get that. Another thing. Sorry, guys.
Gary McDonald, appreciate you tuning into the stream, man. Welcome, welcome.
Uh,
This one's a thrown together one.
so another thing I was wanting to kind of talk about today is maybe, just maybe.
I don't know if they're able to hear you over there, just by the way. You
Oh,
might be talking to yourself.
okay. Well, I got this. Let's go get home.
I don't think he realizes how this directional microphone works.
It was probably picking me up better because I got it facing away because I'm so loud.
I
All
still
right.
think that you're going to be loud.
So I got a glass. It is not going to be for me to drink though. And then I got my other thing I want to talk about. But
Welcome
so
back.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, welcome, guys. Uh, since I thought that the old Emer was a very close and very good, similar bourbon to the Van Winkle.
Are you saying it was close?
Yes. And I'll explain some scores and stuff after you do a tasting and you get that. But I thought about maybe is there some replacements for some of these other really expensive or really hard to find allocated Buffalo Trace products?
I'm going to tell you one thing. I don't think anything's going to be even close or remotely comparable to Buff Turkey. I don't
That
think
buff turkey was
I don't
fantastic.
think anything's gonna come close. Like I don't think there's gonna be anything that you could compare it to and try to get a cheaper version of. I just don't think
I
it's gonna
think it
happen.
is an original. It's a one of a kind bourbon. There's many. We have the Elkwood Reserve 15 year. That's a buff turkey,
And then the
and
Okie,
we had the Okie
he finished
60.
that off without even asking if I want another glass of it. Isn't that something?
It was so good. You know it was good though. It was
I
the
I'm That's why
OKI.
I'm
We
upset that you didn't offer me. I didn't even get another sip.
it was what's the OKI, which we call
It's
Okie.
Okie.
It was the 16 year, so that's a buff turkey product too. So the rumors about some buff turkey that speaking of rumors, were you part of the when I said the 101, the wild turkey 101, the 8 year?
Probably you like spreading rumors on the
But
streams.
it's a true rumor. What's on the shelves now? 8 year 101 wild turkey.
So it
It's
wasn't
out
a
there
rumor.
right
That
now.
was a future prediction.
You heard it here first.
Probably not, but you
Probably not,
heard it
but
here.
you did hear it here.
Go
And
back and watch the
maybe,
other streams. I don't know which one it was.
maybe first. You may have heard it here first. Here's the rumor.
So what?
But now,
Where are we at right now? You're throwing my train of thought off,
you
and
want
I'm
to
not even trying to think right
you
now.
want to start drinking, or you want to start talking about some Buffalo Trace products that maybe you can replace with something else?
I don't know, but if y'all haven't already, considering that you may need it, we invite you now to pour your own drink. Have a drink with us here on this Friday, or have a drink with me on this Friday night. Old Dad will catch up next week for the for the time that he didn't get to spend drinking this week.
What a great segue!
Yeah, it works.
A
It
great
works.
segue.
Oh, I'm only trying
He's
one.
only going to try the old Emer. Yeah, I got
Good.
this glass because it's going to be my the nose, the tip I'm giving you all to try to get more smell out. So
So if you haven't already, get yourself a drink. Just pull your favorite bottle off the shelf this evening because we don't really have anything.
If
that
you have
work.
an old Emer, get it.
Yeah, if you have an old Emer and want to do a first tasting, or you've had it before and just want to do a tasting with me, because I have not had old Emer before, go ahead and get you some old Emer. Which one are we doing?
Well, we're doing the regular old Emer. It's
So
about a
small
40 batch.
batch.
But we got the Buffalo Trace up here. Not to confuse anyone, but we were going to kind of talk about some of their products and replacements. So we'll do that in a minute.
And that will be talked about multiple times in the future because there are so many Buffalo Trace products.
Man,
And
aren't they?
when
And
we
they're
do
so good.
when we do streams on Buffalo Trace products, we're going to try to keep it specific to the Buffalo Trace product that we're actually trying. And then eventually, we're going to have to dive in and do a ton of research about Buffalo Trace when we do the actual Buffalo Trace stream. There's going to be a lot of history in that one.
Yes, there will.
Okay.
Surprise.
What?
What is this, you say?
What is that? Go ahead and tell them.
All right, so
This was it. This was one of his most recent pickups.
short story time. I am bouncing around. Let me just. I'm sorry, guys. I'm all over the
He's
place.
excited about this.
No, I am excited about this bottle, but I did tell you that my mind has been totally focused this week on work. It's been very busy, 16 plus hour days, every day so far. Started out this way. I just got home.
He's fried.
I haven't got to do any research, no episodes. I haven't even read a magazine about bourbon this week. So there's absolutely been nothing bourbon this week because I can't drink because I never know when my next call is. On call weeks are suck butt weeks. They
Oh,
are
watch your
terrible.
profanity.
Terrible.
This is PG friendly, minus the bourbon.
Mine work. I just don't like to be on call. If somebody had trouble and they called me and said, "Hey man, can you come help?" I, yes, I come help, but just to know you can't do anything at all for a whole week except answer trouble calls, it kind of stinks. But anyway, story time. So I'm in Sharpsburg. All right. I get led to Sharpsburg. I'm up in there, and there's a Kentucky Spirit store. All right. And I walk in there, and they have in the little middle, they have some allocated bourbons, and there was a couple there that I hadn't seen or heard of. And I started asking some questions about it. Well, the lady and I got to talking about some bourbons, and she said at our other store, there's some old fits and there's some antique 107 and there's that. And you know how big of a fan of antique
He
107 I
does
am.
like his antique,
I like my antique 107. Uh, that's Weller if you didn't
which
know that. Right
which if you
there.
can't see it on the shelf, we actually finally got another bottle
Got
of
another
that.
bottle. So anyway, the that's thanks to my friend Terry in Ohio.
Shout out Terry.
Yeah, and so anyway, she said that hey, and it's in Owensville, and I'm like, I'm not going to go to Owensville for an expensive bottle of bourbon. And then I said, well, how much you got on it, or how much she got on it? She said, well, let me see. So he ended up having two 9-year old Fitzes and two 11-year old Fitzes, but the 9 years was already sold, but he had two 11s left. So she gave me the price, and I got to thinking about it, and it wasn't secondary prices, but it wasn't MSRP
It's like
prices.
somewhere right in the middle.
It was. Because MSRP on this particular bottle, I think, is $169 to $189, which
Which
to me, that's still an expensive
it's
bottle.
kind of high for MSRP. Like that's cost.
Still an expensive bottle,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So I got to thinking about how much am I willing to pay for a bourbon that I'm going to drink? Because every bourbon you see behind us is going to be drunk. I don't trade
At
my
some point in
bourbons.
time,
I don't trade them. I don't sell them. I don't try to make money on them. I don't collect them to sit there and collect dust for future. I drink my bourbons
we have one bottle that will not be open in the bourbon basement.
until we find a little more history and see if it's worth opening or not.
I don't think it's worth opening.
But I admit it, maybe a month ago, I think Ryan was on the show. I think it was a live show that I found that there are some bourbons, Kentucky bourbons, that the bourbon basement will never own.
Not true. All we got to do is hit the lotto.
You got to win a bourbon lottery, but it has to almost be gifted because we had, and I'm talking about like a double eagle very
If
rare.
anyone wants to send us a bottle of Double Eagle Very Rare, we're accepting donations. We will make a PO box specifically so someone can send us a bottle.
Well, I'm talking about those bottles where the MSRP is over $2,500 to $5,000. I'm never going to own that bottle because I can't pay for that because it would almost make me sick to drink
It
that
wouldn't make
much
me
money.
sick to drink.
So the what I was getting at, I think, when I got back in the vehicle and I was leaving there, I was trying to think, how much am I willing to pay?
Corey, I'm gonna hold you to that. I've got proof on stream that you said you got us, so I'm holding you to that. Don't say that, buddy. We're gonna get it.
Hi, Corey, how you doing? Uh, so anyway, I went and I got to thinking, how much am I willing to spend? What doesn't make me sick to my stomach to drink away and to share with the show? Because that's what this is. I mean, Ryan and I don't open these big bottles and sit back and just talk and not share with you guys. We want you all to know what they're like. So they're opened on the show. This will be an episode one day. And we'll do this and we'll talk about it and we'll give you our opinion to where hopefully you feel like you know what that bourbon tastes like. But
Everyone's palate is
so I got
different.
to thinking, I was like, what is the most I'll pay for a bourbon? And I couldn't decide what it is. I couldn't decide what it is, but I know what it has been to this point, and it's $353.
And that was buff turkey.
That was the OKI
Okay.
16-year buff turkey, $353. That was during the bourbon lottery. I won the opportunity to buy it. It was supposed to be MSRP, I guess it was.
It probably was.
And that was $353. That was from a liquor barn, so they don't mark it up much if they do.
Does anyone, so
And I enjoyed it very much, and it didn't make me sick.
on that note, does anyone know what secondary price is on that OKI 16 year? Does anyone have any idea?
I know at the bourbon auctions and stuff now they're going for upwards of 450 to 500. So
That's
about a
not
hundred.
really much of an upcharge
Well, it's about
considering.
150 to $200 more than you could have got it at Liquor Barn that day.
That's not horrible though.
It's not horrible for a secondary market. But this one in particular, I was looking up how much these were because his price was $400. Secondary market was $699 to $899. Okay, but MSRP, like I said, is like 169 to 189.
It felt like right in the middle of both.
So it was $400, but it was so close to that 353. I said, I'm gonna go talk to this guy.
Mm.
So I drive to Owensville. It's about 10 minutes from Sharpsburg, right? I drive up there and I go to his store, and he's a super nice guy. And I was telling him what I did. I told him about our podcast. I hope he's watching tonight.
Hopefully.
And I don't want to give you a lot of information because I don't want you to take my sweet spot right now. But
We can't give away all our
later I
connections.
will. Later I'll advertise for him when I. But I want to develop that relationship a little bit.
Relationship.
So anyway, I talked to him, told him what we did, showed him some stuff, showed him some pictures of my collection.
Got it. Hey, got to
He
get
and
that
him,
publicity out there.
we hit it off. I did buy some other bottles from him that day, and and I told him that's kind of the relationship I want to be in. I'm going to buy bottles. I just want decent prices on them. And I'm not asking for MSRP on a
We
lot of
don't want
bottles like
handouts
this,
except for double eagle very rare.
but I want to buy Ori, double eagle very rare.
Just
All right.
saying.
So anyway, down I got this bottle for 250. So 250 under my 353 not sick limit, I guess.
So he saved about $300 off of secondary price.
And he gave me $150 off of it, which thank you very much. This was wonderful. We'll open this soon and we'll do a show on it, but it's got to sit and look pretty on my shelf for at least
It is a good looking bottle.
has to look pretty for at least a month before I open it.
Now, just introduction real quick. That short story time was like 8 minutes long.
Hold on. For me though,
Okay, that is short for him. That
okay,
he can go for 20
that's like
minutes.
half. That's like half of my normal.
Okay.
So you're gonna need a drink.
Hard telling.
Brace
Yeah, if you
yourself.
all haven't got your drink already, I'm sure you do by now, surely.
Let's open us some old Emer. So
Is
while
it
you're
Emer or
drinking,
Emmer?
I call it Emer. It could be Emmer. It's EMMER.
Think of Emer.
We got this at Total Wine. I haven't seen this anywhere else in Total Wine. So I don't know if it's a Total Wine exclusive.
I don't think so.
But this is the finest wheat Kentucky straight bourbon.
Ooh,
So it is a wheated bourbon, just like the Van Winkles, just like the Wellers. And when I got this at the liquor barn, they had them to taste there. So I got to taste it before I bought it, which I love. Thank you, Total Wine, not Liquor Barn. Thank you, Total Wine, for doing that for me. Uh,
not a sponsor.
and no, but they did. And he described it before I tasted it as the Wellers, like replacement for these Wellers. And I was like, okay. Uh, I tried it, and it is. It's very good, and it does resemble the Wellers a lot. This one in particular, and it's not old. It doesn't have an age statement, but from some of the research that I read about them, it's like 4 to 6 years. Uh,
Seems pretty
I
common.
think that's the barrels that they put in there is 4 to 6 year old barrels. Uh, but I will tell you, in the Where's Pappy episode, just the video, not the live, uh, it competed very well, and it's very good, very good. So let's get you poured because I want you to taste. But so while he's doing that, I want to talk about a little bit of.
I'm not gonna do a completely. I'm gonna do in my head a proper tasting, but I'm not gonna go through like we normally do and explain everything going on. But I will give it a rating at the end,
All right, so
and
it does have to have a rating.
I will give highlights maybe of stuff that stands out to
So
me.
while we're doing this, I'm going to tell you about
Why
a
did you
little.
saying hand me my glass when you're gonna pour it in the other one?
See, you don't even know where I'm going, do you? All right, so
Hand me your glass. I'm gonna
this is
pour
a
it in
little
this one
tip.
though.
This is a little tip about nosing bourbon. Okay, so I've had a lot of people comment and question and ask about nosing it because when they inhale their bourbon, and even if you open your mouth, sometimes you get overwhelmed by the alcohol that's in there. Okay, and that's all you smell, and you lose some of those smelling notes, I guess.
I've
The
only had that issue on the lower end ones, like our $0 to $20 episodes.
Well, I didn't ask them what they were smelling, but you're still going to want to. It's you kind of got to train yourself, and this is a little training tip that I picked up on through some of these things. So you pour yourself your shot, you spin it around your glass, you get it well coated, right? Then you dump that into another glass. All right.
Spin it around the glass. Throw it
Uh,
out.
That's what I thought of when I was listening and doing this.
I know you all heard me talk about that whiskey tasting thing. If you all, I know you all seen it on some kind of social media, YouTube. That video has made its rounds and is coming back around again, and it is the best thing. Uh, I've actually got it saved on multiple platforms on my phone because it's that good.
I'm just trying to get as much as I can out of there because that gets all that. So what that's going to do is now we're going to let it sit there, and we're going to let that air out a little bit. Try to get all those alcohol things out of there, and then we're going to nose it just like we normally do and try to pick up on some flavors. Okay.
Oh, it's got tears.
So that's all that I want to do. So this is just their standard Kentucky straight bourbon. It's 46% alcohol, so that's 92 proof.
Quick
Uh,
math, quick math.
Old Emer finest wheat. Now, Old Emer products, and this is another thing I was going to talk about. So this is what we bought that day. This is the Old Emer cast strength, and it's still a Kentucky straight bourbon, but it's 61.3%.
You all can't
So
really tell either.
122.6.
Can't really tell because we're on a dark tabletop right now, but both of these have a very nice color to them, even this one, but
Yeah, they
this
do.
one is so dark.
And that's the cast strength. And then now, so 40 to $50 range, I will say. $50 to $60 range. This one's about $10 more higher than this one,
I would
but
definitely go
still,
for the $10 higher one.
well, I like cast strength too, but still very affordable bourbons. But they do make a more expensive one. But this was the most expensive one that Total Wine had.
Look how
It's the
fancy.
Old Emer Toasted Barrel Kentucky Straight Bourbon. It's the finest wheat. You want to open it up there?
No, okay. So fancy.
But their most expensive one, this one here, their toasted one, uh, pretty bottle, no stickers or nothing. It's all etched in there and everything. It's really nice. Uh,
Engraved.
99.99. Now, I haven't tasted the toasted one
Is it a
yet.
magnetic box?
Yes.
Is it really? It's
Yeah.
a magnetic closing box.
It's cool.
Cool.
So that's a toasted one. Don't know what to compare that to. But after tasting this one, and you know that the Van Winkle 12 that I was comparing them to, when I did that episode, I kept weeded mash bills for one, because the Van
I was about
Winkle,
to say you're pointing over here. It's behind you.
the Van Winkle 12 there, it's a weeded mash bill. But it's 12 years old. Okay. This one is not 12 years old. And I think the age helped this one more than anything because it was against younger bourbons, but they were all weeded and they were all of similar so they all
What
had the
was
similar proof.
what was
But that's a
capping?
90 or 92.
I thought it was 91. It was something weird.
It's 90.4. Yeah.
I was close.
Uh
It was weird though.
so similar proof. That's why I didn't bring out the Oemer cast strength. Now the cast strength, this one here kinda, and you can see the blue label on it, the dark blue label. The Weller foolproof up there has the blue label. This one kinda reminds me of a Weller foolproof.
See, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. It seems like old Emer is trying to be Weller.
But
It seems like they're just
so I
piggybacking.
think it's a great thing because they're very good. And if you can't find this or you can't find that, you can find these, and or you don't want to pay for those. You can find these and they're very affordable and they're very good. And if you drink them side by side, you might tell the difference. But if you just drink it and you haven't had, just say you haven't had a Weller Foolproof for 6 months, and you get an Old Eamer Cast Strength, you might think that you're drinking the Weller Foolproof. So
That being said, you're not going to get the same iconicness
it's just
of the more expensive, more sought after bourbon.
that's right. You're not buying
You might get a
Levi's.
little bit less fulfillment. You're comparing I don't even know. You're comparing Hanes underwear to Calvin Klein, you know? It's just one of those kind of things.
It's kind of that. You're paying for a name in a lot of points, and that's kind of what my
Or a
goal
Honda Civic
is.
to a Bentley.
Talk about that all the time. Is trying to find bourbons that are affordable that I like that can replace some of those expensive bourbons. And that's kind of what I want to do. So,
Contrary to popular belief, the Bourbon Basement is not loaded. We are loaded with bourbons, but our pocketbooks are empty.
yeah, definitely. And that's why I need to retire from here and get a job that I can drink at.
Well, he's
Or
making plenty of
or
overtime
we
money.
got to get famous on YouTube. We got to get famous on YouTube so people give us the bourbon. Like the stores just give us the bourbon and let us try it. Where I
Corey's
don't
already
have to.
given us a double eagle very rare.
That's very nice of Corey.
So
Well,
generous.
Corey, we'll even have you over and let you have glass if you want, but don't open it before then.
No, you got to
Yeah,
open it
you
on
got. We'll
stream.
open it here, and we'll give you one glass of it, right?
He'll never hear the end of that. Every time that we go live, I'm just gonna be like, Corey, what about the double eagle?
Yeah, we
We're
need to.
still waiting on it.
So, my buddy Brad, he owns the whiskey house downtown Paris, and uh, it's like a dream job. That's like my dream job. I would love to. Yeah. Well, I'd love to own my. I don't know that I'd want to go bartend for $8 or $10 an hour or whatever. A bartender makes 20 if you're good, 30. I don't know what they make it out of, but
I thought they were kind of like waitresses, where they got paid mostly in tips.
I don't know. Good bartender's hard to find. One that knows, like, really knows his mixology or her mixology.
They have school for that.
I know. And I mean, a real good one's hard to find. I mean, you can get people like me that go in and I can make a couple of drinks for you and then pour you a shot of bourbon.
I tell you what, I can make you real well: a bourbon and coke.
That's too.
I can make a bourbon and coke and like the best. I don't think
So
I've ever had a bourbon and coke better than mine,
I like to
actually.
own the bar to be able to do what I want to do, and you know what I mean. I think that would be the dream.
Well, I couldn't be your bartender because when it comes to bourbon and cokes, I would make it how I do it, and it's 3 parts bourbon, splash of coke.
You have to ask if they want a double, and then you charge them for
I
that.
make like
You don't
quadruples.
just
I
give
don't
it away. You don't give it away. You charge them for it. So see, you still make money.
splash of coke. Fill your glass up to about. I don't know if you can. Yeah, you can see this one. Fill your glass up to about here with bourbon, and then just barely top it off with coke.
It's a
Best
Buffalo
bourbon.
Trace glass too, by the way, because we had Buffalo Trace up here.
That's our microphone stand right now, is what it is.
Well, we did. It was a quick setup, and the 30 minutes is what it. I got here, and it took me 29 and a half to set this up.
It happens. All right, so this has been sitting here for quite some time. Are we good to
Should be
nose
aired out.
now?
I think you ought to start nosing, and I'm going to nose my empty glass and see if I can get some good aromas from this. Now, this is a tip and trick that I picked up. It's not one that I've ever done, so I don't know if it's going to work or not. It works.
It's amazing, guys. What do you mean it works?
Well, I mean, the smell is still in there. It's.
It's bourbon. Of course it's
I
gonna
know,
still
but
be
there's
in
no
there.
bourbon in there. I mean, is there even a drop? So all
There's
the
no
al
bourbon in old bourbon barrels, but
all
they'll
the
smell for the rest
alcohol's
of their
when
age.
all the alcohol's gone though. So there's no like burning of the nose. Not that this one did much anyway.
I could go to a bourbon barrel that's been empty for 72 years and it has like decaying wood and it would still smell like bourbon.
I know why I might like this one so much. And see, the other day when I had bourbon in my glass and I did this episode, I didn't smell this. But I know why. My mind must have knew because I smell caramel cream candies in there. And if y'all know me, caramel
Oh,
cream
I
is.
said that I wasn't going to go into my
I
actual
thought you were
deck.
going to do some smelling and stuff.
I did smell.
What'd you get?
It kind of smells like marshmallows.
See, I got caramel cream candies. I got the other day I had just the super sweetness in there with a little bit of oakiness. It was very good. Uh, the other day I had fruits and I still get some apple and
I'm
like
not getting
caramel apple.
fruitiness. Mm, kind of weird, but I definitely get toasted marshmallows. Like just
I get
charcoal on the outside, gooey on the inside. Slap that bad boy on a graham cracker with some Hershey's chocolate.
I might be sucking all the fumes out of there because it's getting weaker and weaker now. Well, there's still that one little drop that I want to go.
Oh, you really got to aerate that. This little sliver of bourbon at the bottom. Get that aeration in there. Make sure that you're getting all those flavors.
More caramel apple with a little bit of sweet oak in there.
I will say right off the bat, I think this drink's hotter than a 92.
I think I might have mentioned that the other day because I was blind for me.
It's not hot, don't get me wrong, but it feels like a little more than a 92.
It was blind for me, so I didn't know what I was
I
drinking.
would have said this was 100 to 105 if I was blindly going off proof.
It's very good, very good. So the other thing I got here, and you all aren't going to be able to see this, but uh,
Get your
they
bifocals on.
they let me take it from our tasting, and what it is an aroma wheel. So if you're trying to train your palate, you can do this with taste as well. But if you're trying to get that nose, if you want to be able to talk a little bit more or to be able to grab things, all you want to do is look at they have like microbiology. They broke it down into categories: fresh oak and toasted oak and charred oak. And so if you're sniffing this and you're like, "Oh yeah, I get some toasted oak in there." Well, then it breaks it down. Is it spicy or sweet? Is it vanilla? What do you got there on the toasted oak? If you got charred oak, is it toasty? Is it smoky or is it nutty? If you got fresh oak, they want to know is it tannic, lactone, which I don't even know what that is. I'm gonna call this herbalicious. I know that's not the word, but is it
What
herbalicious?
is it? Herbal.
That's not herbal. I can read herbal. What's that? Herbal satious?
Where are you at?
Right there where my finger is. Herbal satious?
Herbaceous.
Herbaceous? I'm calling it herbalicious. Or is it woody or resin? So, and the microbiology, they're asking, is it yeasty or earthy? So if you get those kind of tones. So then it breaks it down a
Does it
little bit
taste
more.
like dirt?
So on this one, I get a toasted oak smell. I get the sweet. So sweet right here. And then they ask you, what are you getting sweet? Are you getting brown sugar sweet, caramel sweet, which I got caramel, cotton candy, honey. I think the other day with actual bourbon in there, I got a little bit of honey, maple syrup, butterscotch, marshmallow, which is what you got. So
Hot
you
dog.
got toasted and you got marshmallow. Now you can have Posted. You can get charred notes too. You can get fresh oak. You can
Uh,
get herbology in all your smell. It can you can pick up more than just one.
One thing I will say, this is very oaky for just a 4 to 6 year bourbon.
Yes.
It comes out very nicely. And I've said in the past, I'm a big fan of oaky bourbons. Not oaky, not okay. I'm obviously a big fan of that, but
Only the 16-year. Most of the others aren't Kentucky bourbons. That one just happened to be a 16-year single barrel,
yeah,
and
buck
it was
turkey.
from Kentucky.
It was buck turkey. So be careful with your oakies. Make sure that they are Kentucky bourbons if you're going to be strict like the Bourbon Basement is. Kentucky bourbons and Kentucky bourbons only. No whiskeys. No out of towners.
So for everyone that was interested in the nosing of a bourbon, that's a couple tips. One, pour your glass in another glass. Smell the empty glass because you get those non-alcohol-y aromas and you're not distracted by the alcohol. The other is to get a tasting wheel. Pick out, try to get those. I think I'm tasting this or I think I'm tasting that. And then look and see, okay, I am. I'm tasting a little bit of sweetness. And then see what else you might have. And it's just a way to build your nose. It works also for your palate. If you're tasting a little bit of sweet oak, then you can go down. That is sweet oaky. Is it brown sugar? Is it caramel? And then you can kind of pick out some elements like that.
For those of you interested, for those of you that are waiting on the merch drop on our website that is yet to be created yet, we're going to start making copies and steal someone else's idea of this, and we'll put those for sale on there too.
These,
Yeah.
oh, these you can
You
download
want
for
your own
free.
tasting wheel?
Download for free online.
Whoa, whoa.
Whoa! I got them. If you can't download them for free, just take a picture, a screenshot, and have it on your phone and just do the same thing. I think that's how I started, by the
It
way.
has to be a physical wheel if you want the full effect, though. So we're going to start making copies of those and start selling them on our website. It has to be authentic. You got to have that wheeled so you can turn it right in front of you, not your phone.
It is helpful.
Who
I've
wants to
used it.
turn their phone screen with a screenshot? That's so
Do
degrading, you
you
know?
know when we did the what was our episode, the final episode of the year, or something where we did our best bourbon that we tasted so far this year?
It was our top 10 we'd had in the
The
Bourbon
top
Basement
10.
of 2024.
So when I examined those bourbons and tasted them again, I used this. And I've used it not for the nose, but for the tasting part.
I
And
feel like that's kind of cheating.
not this particular wheel. It was one I downloaded, and I would sit there, I'd close my eyes, I'd take a little sip, I'd get something out of it, and I'd say, okay, that's kind of a toasty oak. What else is that? And then I'd be like, okay, is it marshmallow? No. Is it brown sugar? No. It is caramel. It's caramel, and that's I'd go with some caramel. So what is
Cool, Ron.
going on?
Appreciate you tuning into the stream, man. Thank you for giving us a little bit of time out of your evening.
Everyone,
I had to wait for a break. I didn't want to interrupt. If you all ever, I see your chats right here in front of me. So if I'm ever taking a little bit longer to respond, it's
It's
because
'cause
I'm
I'm
waiting.
talking too
It's
much.
because I'm waiting for a break in the I don't even know what to call it in the
The
yap
rambling.
session.
That's
Uh,
just rude.
it's yapping.
That's rude.
We're yappers.
I
What
was
can we do?
trying. I had questions about this, and I was
Well, I
trying to
couldn't
explain.
interrupt him then because he was literally. I mean, he had his eyes closed. He was running that reel in his head. I couldn't throw off his
Well,
train of thought.
sometimes, and it's probably smart too, because sometimes when I get interrupted like that, I lose my train of
His
thought
train goes very
completely.
easily nowadays.
Well,
Like
what's your thoughts on the old
it's as fast as pulling an actual rail switcher on a railroad track and him just going like off into the abyss.
What's your thoughts on the old Emer?
I don't think it's too bad. I haven't done my
And it's
full
not
sit.
too bad. That's your thoughts.
I remember what the Pappy tasted like, and I don't think that this is comparable. I don't think it's that close.
Okay. It looks like we're going to have a blind coming up.
I don't think that's a very fair blind either.
Believe me, it is. Go back and watch the show, Ryan. Have you even watched my episode that I did? Have you even watched it?
No, I tasted a lot of butterscotch in that one.
Haven't even watched my show. You're making me cry. You're not rude. You're just rude to me, and now you're gonna make me cry by not even watching the show. When you go back and you watch the show,
I don't
look
watch
at the.
anything that I wasn't a part of.
I didn't know what I was taking. I didn't know what I was drinking. It was blind, and number 3 and number 4. That's what the Pappy was in this one. So I got to drink them back to back, which was good. Uh, and listen to the similarities in it. Listen to the similarities, and honestly, they're these two, this one and the Van Winkle 12. I knew one of those was the Van Winkle 12, and then I got to the Bardstown Weeded, and then it threw me for a loop because I was like, "Uh oh, this one's so good as well."
Once
But
you,
it doesn't taste anything like any of the other Weededs that I had.
once again, if you haven't watched this episode yet, before he gives too much away, I suggest you go watch it if you're interested to see
It's
how close it actually was,
I enjoyed the episode very much.
or to see who won, because he hasn't said who won yet, so it
No,
might not have even been Van Winkle.
but I will tell you this.
Uh,
No, what's your thoughts on this one?
oh,
You haven't said nothing.
it's very smooth. It's very, I think, like I said, I think it drinks a little bit hotter than the 92 proof. I would put this at probably at least 100 proof, um, just off of mouthfeel alone. It's very sweet. It's not overly sweet though, because that oakiness comes in and it kind of kicks the sweetness down a little bit. I'm not getting any fruity elements of it, but I am getting the toasted marshmallow, some butterscotch in there. Um, it's very, it's kind of in depth in a way, but simple at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense,
It
because
does.
this is one of those that it makes your mind race. And kind of as he was going through that wheel, I was like, yeah, I get that. And I'm like, no, I was like, well, I kind of get that a little bit too, and it kind of makes you think a little bit deeper into it. So maybe the wheel isn't for everyone. I don't want anyone to hurt their minds. Just enjoy drinking your bourbon. Don't, I can
The
see
wheel is a training aid.
I can see smoke coming out of some of y'all's heads from the
It's a
gears
training
turning.
aid.
Um,
Training.
but I thought it was really good. Is it my? I can imagine I would like the cash strength a lot better. Just going off of how I like the higher proof stuff, and this was good, and I can only imagine it would be better as a higher proof. But as far as overall, price wise, beginner friendly, drinkability, once again, it did. I think even as a higher proof guy, it drank a little bit hotter than a 92, so you might proceed with caution there if you are a little bit newer to bourbon. Uh, as far as the drink itself goes, I'd probably rate it a 6.8.
6.8.
Yeah.
It was an 8 for me.
Maybe I'm just not really a weeded bourbon guy, I don't think.
You like the Van Winkles?
I do,
Do you
but
like the Wellers?
see, I don't even want to say because I don't like comparing stuff to others.
Those are weeded
I'm
bourbons.
gonna say there is stuff that I like better than the Wellers.
But those are weeded bourbons, and you like them. But I mean, the 6.8's not a bad score. It's
I
just
don't
not
think
as
so.
high as I gave it. And you say I'm always a low baller.
You are.
I gave it an 8. And the reason I say 8 is because on my
He's
score
turning
sheet,
over a new leaf, folks.
well, my score sheet had stars and it was out of 20. I gave it 16. I just cut that in half because we rate on a 10 scale. So I made it 8.
I
So
think we need to do away with the decibels.
I like the decibels. That lets me determine if I like one a little bit more than the other. If I gave this one an 8.2 and I gave another one an 8, then I knew I liked this one a little bit
See,
better.
that's going back to his scoring. I don't
You
score
don't,
compared to something else.
but
That's why I
we
hate doing head to heads. I hate it.
I have plans for these shows and it's going to count on these scores. So you better put one you like in there with the score because if you don't score it
But
right,
I
then
don't
it's going to
compare.
miss out.
Just because this one got a 6.8 doesn't mean that if I ranked something else a 7, that this would have been close to that one that I ranked a 7.
Well,
That's why I don't compare to other stuff. I rank solely based on what I'm drinking in front of me.
okay. So what I'm trying to put out there for you
Like, so,
in the
okay,
episode planning.
put it like this. I ranked this one a 6.8, right? I ranked, I think, Double Oak a 9.2, but if we're on the same spectrum, this one's getting the 6.8 and the Double Oak's getting a 20. If
Okay.
we're doing it
So,
like that,
well, what you should do, because what you're going to run into, I'm taking our scores. I'm going back and watching our episodes. I actually watch our episodes. Uh, Going back and taking those scores, and on our 50th episode, we're going to have our best bourbons that we scored, not the ones that you say, "Oh, this is incredible." If you gave it an 8, let's just go. If you
I think
gave,
that's wrong.
hold on. If you gave,
I think that's wrong.
if you gave Weller 12 year an 8, okay, and then you gave Eagle Rare 7.9,
I think that's wrong.
and then you gave this one a 6.8, and your top 5 bourbons were 9, 9, 8, 7, 8.
I take so
That
many
means
things
that
into
Weller 12 is
consideration
in
when I
there.
rank. Okay, so give it a 2.
That means that Weller 12 is in there.
Give it a 2.
Okay. So it's got a 2. You're
That is that is such a bad way of doing that because I rank based on so many
So
things.
how do you suggest, like, when we go back to do our,
Cool, are you with me, man? I think that's a horrible way to do that.
how do you suggest I go back and get our top bourbons in
I don't know, but
so we
I'm
can
not.
do a show on it? If you're giving everything 9s, how do I determine which ones are your favorite 5 bourbons?
Well, you can't even put this one on the same spectrum as Double Double O because, like I said, this would be a 1, and Double Double O could be a 10
Double Oak is very good, but this is on the same spectrum as that Van Winkle 12 for me.
for you. It probably won't be for me.
Because I won't tell you the spoiler alert, but
Yeah, and
it's a very good alternative to Van Winkle 12.
I think
Now, have I had anything other than a Pappy or a Van Winkle 12? No.
Legion Yamasaki, I think I also gave it a 9.2. That's on the same spectrum as Double Double Oak. This would not even come close to either one of those.
How is it on the same spectrum? They're two totally different things. You got a double oak, and then you got just a Yamasaki cast finish. So if you're the way you're putting them on the same spectrum, it should be every finish bourbon, every cast strength bourbon, every bottled and bond bourbon, and you should have a category or something
Okay,
for them.
well, this is a small batch.
Yes.
It's not on the same spectrum as anything over a small batch.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that it was a bad drink because I'm ranking what's in front of me, not comparing it to something else to be put in the same spectrum
Should
at
it
the end.
not compete with any other small batches?
I never said that.
Should it compete with E.H. Taylor small batch?
That's no, it
Do you
shouldn't.
do you put E.H. Taylor small batch in cahoots with the double oak and the
See,
Yamasaki?
this is where the Bourbon Basement cast really butts heads because he loves comparing bourbons to others.
I
He
do.
loves it. He
That's
loves
my whole mission of the whole thing, because I don't want to overpay for a bourbon. So if I can
he
find a
loves it.
bourbon $60 and it saves me $40, I don't have to buy that $100 bourbon again. So I've tried the $100 bourbon. I've enjoyed the $100 bourbon, but I found a $60 bourbon that I enjoy just as much. That's my mission.
Once again, this
So
is
I
where
can
we
retire and drink happy and not be broke.
butt heads because he loves ranking against another bourbon, and I want to enjoy what I'm drinking in front of me
And do
and not
enjoy it.
think about the other bourbons that may or may not be better because I'm drinking what's in front of me and I'm enjoying the drink that's in front of
I
me.
enjoy it so much. But
And
I know that
and
there are better bourbons.
he's gonna pry me into this scoring system, and then my scoring system is gonna be null and void because I'm ranking the bottle that I'm drinking, not thinking in my head, oh, well, I had this one 2 months ago. It was probably better than this.
So do I have to? Do I have to? No, it ain't. And I'm not. I don't never like blind tasting is when I do the comparisons, and that's when you got to do it. You got to pick a winner.
When I rank on so many different aspects.
We rank on the same aspects:
Okay, but
aroma,
this is going nowhere.
sight.
My point will never get comprehended. We've been over this conversation off camera so many times, and it never makes it.
Realized that you will favor a bourbon for its name, though.
That's a
It
very
should be a flavor.
that's a very bold lie because the Yamasaki was in a blind tasting, and I just happened to love that bourbon.
Yes, and I think that may be because that was Legion. We'd never even had that
And
before.
yes, I'm a Woodford fanboy, but the Double Double Oak is a fantastic bottle. And I think that could be said for anyone that's had it.
But when you see E.H. Taylor come out, you automatically like it.
He said if you don't want to overpay for bourbon, you may go back in time 10 or more years.
Dang,
Inflation sucks.
I wish I could. That would be awesome. I wish I'd started my
When you go back to Prohibition,
I wish I'd started the bourbon journey about 15 years ago because I could have had all those big bottles and now they would have been on the shelves and
when you go
being
back to
drank.
Prohibition so we can just bootleg.
Okay. We're getting to kind of the wrap it up time thing. You got anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that 50 minutes actually went by pretty easy. I
I
don't
think
think
it
that we've
did.
had a quiet moment one in the entire almost hour.
Well,
It's just been a bunch of random stuff, but
it was
sometimes
no. I mean, it was. I hope it was informative. We gave some people that were asking tips on nosing and how to nose. I got my score on the oat heater.
congratulations, guys. You now know how to be nosy. It's a round of applause for everyone.
You scored the heater, which I needed for my score sheets to figure out what I'm going to have you drink on our 50th episode.
I'm gonna tell you right now,
Am I going to have to go?
if he gives me a bum list, I'm gonna just go through it and pick out the bottles I want to be
No,
my five.
on the list is only 8 and above. So if it made an 8 or above, I put them on the list.
Well, I'll be sure the ones that I don't want to make the list, I'll have to be sure to rank those as 7.9 or lower.
Well, I guess what I'm going to have to do for you is just, hey, these are the ones you rank 8 or above. Which ones did you really like the best? And then we're going to taste these again to see which one is the best.
Oh, I gotta make him work for it,
But
guys.
it makes so you've seen two different ways of comparing bourbons and judging bourbons,
I
and you
enjoy
just have
drinking.
to. That's why we do this because tastes aren't the same, smell ain't the same,
See,
and ranking systems aren't the same. So you've got to determine if you favor what Ryan tastes and scores, or if you favor what I taste and score. And we don't care either way.
you all don't know this about Dad though, but he's a huge statistics guy.
I do like
Massive, like
statistics.
he will go in depth in anything he does. Bourbon, obviously, and if he plays a Madden game, he will make a notebook. If he does a my player or a coach season,
I
I
get
mean, he's
that.
got playbooks written out. He's got rosters, who he needs to keep it. I mean, he does the whole coaching experience, and it has definitely carried over to the bourbon aspect.
I do like stats. Stats are
My,
important. That's how you know is Michael Jordan the best or is LeBron James the best? Or is Kobe Bryant the best? You know who was the greatest? It's Jordan. Look at the stats, it's Jordan.
that's why he had such a good time with the Bradshaw
There's,
episode,
there's
guys.
always a debate about who's the best, and that's what I'm trying to take out of. I'm trying to take the debate about what bourbon is the best. I'm going to find that bourbon, or a Kentucky bourbon anyway, that is the best. And I'm going to let everyone know that this bourbon is the best bourbon out of all bourbons.
Can someone please back me up on the flawed system that he's using to drink bourbon? That is just not how you do it.
Well, I could have which one's the best bottle.
Okay,
That's just visual.
we're really going into a rabbit hole right now. This could never end. This conversation could go on for another hour and a half.
I don't want one of those 4 hour podcasts like some of those other ones do.
All right, give a thumbs up on this stream if you would watch a 4 hour podcast of me and him just going back at each other. Leave a thumbs up. Drop a comment if you all would watch a 4+ hour stream of just us acting like fools.
Better get your flavor ready.
Everyone would be hammered by the end of that show. You all would have to
We
drink so
definitely
much.
go through 2 bottles, wouldn't we?
At least. Maybe 3.
As long as I'm not on call.
Yeah, can't do it when he's on call.
Yeah.
But guys, thank you all so much for bearing with us in this lack of preparation and just throwing together episode. Hopefully it was still enjoyable to watch. I know it's always funny to hear people bicker back and forth with each other. You'll get that a lot with us, especially when it comes to the flawed system he's got for bourbon drinking.
Know how I'm the flawed one.
But thank you all so much for tuning in. Once again, hopefully this was still enjoyable. Leave a like on this stream if you would like to see more things like this, where it's just kind of chill stuff, or if you want nothing but history and just professional tastings. This was just kind of a hangout thing, so hopefully it went over well with most of our audience. But That would be brutal on the 4 hour stream. Probably would be brutal. Yeah, sure. Okay. Uh, but we will be live again once again next Friday. If you haven't watched the episodes that he's been posting, just uh, videos on our channel, I suggest that you do go watch those. They are still interesting to watch. They may not be a live stream, but they are. Um,
They can still comment too.
yeah,
We get back
comment.
to
Let us know what you would like to see in the future as far as videos and stuff go as well. But all that being said, guys, we will see you all Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our next stream. Hopefully, a little more prepared. But all that being said, why drink alone?
when you can drink with us.
We'll see y'all next Friday.
Can I have a hug? I can't
No,
have. I can't have
no,
one
no,
more
no, 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 no,
Kentucky
no, no,
hug.
no, no, no,
No,
no, no, no, no, no, no.
just one.
Bye, guys.